So building trust should be based on transparency, as opposed to becoming a policeman, as opposed to a teacher. No, let's use this technology, let's use this means for our own purpose and the common good.
This is Reimagining Higher Education, your go-to podcast with remarkable education leaders sharing personal stories from their experience in and around the sector, including reflection and hope for progress in the sector. With your host, Dr Ashraf Mahate, consultant in the areas of international trade, export promotion, inward investment attraction and entrepreneurship, Fellow of the Royal Society of Arts, and member on Studiosity's Academic Advisory Board.
Welcome to Studiosity's Reimagining Higher Education. My name is Dr Ashraf Mahate. In each episode, we delve into what drives higher educational leaders and their institutions towards academic excellence, student success, and meaningful impact. Today, I'm delighted, honored, and extremely privileged to be joined by Professor Bassam Alameddine, President of the American University of Ras Al Khaimah, and also who will be sharing his insights and experiences that redefine higher education in the UAE and the Middle East. So let's get started. Welcome to today's podcast, Professor Bassam.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Ashraf. It's a great honor for me to be part of this series of, I would say, one of the most renowned podcasts that tackles the higher education, reimagining higher education, as you exactly said. And well, again, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. It's a personal pleasure for me because, again, the American University of Ras Al Khaimah, a great institution, wonderful achievements. And I think a lot of these achievements cannot be carried out in a vacuum. They come together, I think, when you have inspiring leaders. And at the same time, those inspiring leaders are supported by faculty.
Sure.
And I see evidence of that. But my question is more to the leader in you. As a leader, how did you develop your leadership style? Was it your own journey as a student who then started off as faculty, the struggles, the conviction that you had in trust, the creating of human capacity, and how central is that ethos in the institutional mission of the American University of Ras Al Khaimah?
What an excellent question. You've actually answered part of it. I truly believe that what shapes us is our journey. Our journey begins as children, as learners, and it's also shaped by the people that we interact with. Learning is an everyday process, Dr. Ashraf. And I wouldn't exaggerate by saying that I do learn still every minute from my team members, from staff, from people whom you merely think that you could actually get useful information from, simply because every single piece of information, every single advice shapes us. And humility is probably one of the major things or the major ethos, as you exactly said, that we should not forget. Let me go back a little bit in history as a student, because I was born, raised in Lebanon during the Civil War. So Civil War teaches you how to survive, how to persevere, and how to be part of a community. And as a student, my journey was very formative and transformative. So since those early days, and as part of our, I would say, upbringings, it was always about education, learn, It's not about getting a degree. It's about learning. It's not about acquiring knowledge. It's about making sure that we are building resilience, curiosity, and eventually all these will shape you into a successful person. So later on, as most of Lebanese, you have to travel, pursue more knowledge. And I've been across many countries. Each and every single country taught me something new culturally. But I was extremely fortunate, I would say, because I had outstanding mentors. And those mentors are not only faculty, they were staff, they were technicians in the lab, they were people whom I would listen to, learn from. And this is what really shaped me as a person who has one purpose. The major purpose I have is if you're responsible of no matter how small the task is, do the best you can. Do the best you can and make it perfect, exemplary. Make sure that the people around you, they do feel this kind of vibe. Appreciate them, because only through appreciation, whether this appreciation is materialistic or not, or only words, appreciating people will drive them towards, excellence and towards helping out in shaping the task, carrying it out in the most perfect way.
And that's amazing. I love the idea about how you bring humility into the learning process and how learning is not only based in the classroom, right? Learning
Correct.
is learning 360.
Yes.
From the very low to the very high. And I think that is the important part, because learning is not only about knowledge, it's about shaping you as an individual.
True.
Right?
True. Absolutely.
How does the American University of Ras Al Khaimah do this in its curriculum, in its teaching process? How does it bring out this ethos of continuous lifelong learning? And I love the word you use, curiosity.
Yes.
Because without being curious, there's no passion for learning. And I think we as educators are not the jug and the glass. We don't put passion, right?
That's true. That's absolutely true. So, with the advent of all the technologies, the pace with which we see technologies getting developed, knowledge becoming accessible, you can now learn a very hard course on any channel, on any platform. But will you be able to learn critical thinking, curiosity, humility by interacting with, different people around you? I don't think so. And this is where I believe that universities should review their curricula, like we did at the American University of Ras Al Khaimah. This year, actually, earlier this academic year, we launched a 3 and not a 5, a 3-year strategy. And that's because we needed to compress our projects and deliver as fast as we can, because we know that there is an urgency to act. With all the disruptions that we're seeing, well, you need to ensure that the courses you deliver, the degrees that will be conferred to the students, they do hold a value. And that value is this complexity of values that should shape or reshape higher education. Among others, again, critical thinking, teamwork, curiosity, humility, those humane values that should be carried out through every single student. We should also emphasize the capacity of our students to be resilient, to be also adaptable, right? We need to teach our students nowadays not only to be experiential and to have industrial experience through internships, through certifications, and so on. This is something that, that has become standard. The extra step is, let's see what's the real difference between us and machines. Those human values are the inflection points that differentiate us, and that will allow us to carry forward. So this is how we see education or higher education at the American University of Ras Al Khaimah, making sure that our graduates will be holding those values, because only through these values they'll be able to grow and to be really competitive in such a pressuring, stressful job market.
I think you're definitely correct about the pressurizing job market. It's not the fact that AI is changing the whole world. And of course, not is it only creating new employment opportunities, it's demolishing various different employment opportunities.
Absolutely,
And I
yes.
think you mentioned the word machines, but when I look at AI, I see two things. I see AI making the job of the educator much easier,
True.
right? Because we have a lot of resources. We don't only have to rely on the lecturer or the library. I can study at 2 o'clock in the morning because I can have access to AI, right? And maybe there's somebody around the world who I can interact with or whatever. But I also have this huge challenge now, is how do I not let AI control my output, right? That I
Yes.
control my learning journey, both from an ethical trust perspective, but also the fact that when we struggled in the library, right, we were solving a problem and we were
Yes.
getting it wrong, and we took the paper, we threw it in the dustbin and started again, right? With AI,
Yes.
we had the convenience of getting the answer.
Yep.
How do you at American University of Ras Al Khaimah ensure that students still have the journey of learning and are not corrupted by the convenience of immediate answers?
Exactly. By encouraging them to use AI responsibly, to use any technology adequately, and to think critically about the outcome. So, Dr. Ashraf, the American University of Ras Al Khaimah is the first university to have offered a bachelor's degree in AI in the UAE
Right.
4 years ago, 5 years ago. So, and we graduated our first cohort last year. So we were really at the forefront of thinking on the importance of this field, as artificial intelligence, in addition to many other fields, of course. Now, every single student at AURAK has to learn about AI. So we do have a course, and now they're going to become two courses, learning about how to use AI responsibly, ensuring that, well, we will provide our students with examples generated by artificial intelligence, and they have to double check it, to cross check it, because ultimately there will be many of our personas as agentic AIs. As a leader, I think about the future now as having many Bassams as agentic AIs helping me out in each and every task depending on the nature of that task. There will be the Bassam who's academic, the one who's going to be the marketer of the university, the other one who's going to look at the performance of our staff and faculty, the other one taking care of the students and their performance, and so on. So all these will be helping us out. The question is, how do I measure the output critically? Without this critical spirit, we wouldn't be able to tell right from wrong. And this is what we try to teach our students and to embed our future graduates with in order to ensure, once again, that they're kind of cladded, right? They're prepared to use AI, not to avoid it. I'm a pro technology. Otherwise, I wouldn't have, learned chemistry and engineering in my professional career. And I truly believe that, well, this, once again, the advent of these technologies are helping us out in trailblazing too many hurdles and promoting a better life for humans. Now, it comes with the challenges, like you exactly said, Dr. Ashraf. It comes with a challenge of demolishing too many careers, but it will also allow us to think about other careers, alternative careers. And this is not new. The Industrial Revolution did actually erase a lot of careers, but it also created thousands more. And this is what we need to learn on how to adapt, how to upskill and reskill if needed, how to become a lifelong learner. And this is why lifelong learning is part, is our tagline.
I do actually agree with you. I think it's very, very important to create this lifelong learning. Now, the way that we traditionally measure the knowledge or the knowledge acquired by a student is usually an assignment or an exam, right? Now, the question is, previously, I was going to say previously, how does American University of Ras Al Khaimah, how does it actually measure student attainment of knowledge? Because the traditional knowledge, the traditional model is an exam, an assignment, but we know about the fact that, as you said, a Gen AI can produce this flawlessly, right? And how is your institution dealing with this whole idea of AI-generated output?
Well, this year, we did a full revamp of all our programs, both from a curricular point of view. So we did revisit, review, inject certifications in our programs, and revisited the way we measure the assessments, evaluations, because we know that with AI generated answers now, you can never rely on the classical mode of assessing a student's knowledge. So this is why we are moving towards flipped classrooms, more presentations, workshops, project-based learning, problem-solving sessions by the students, especially, and I'm gonna probably emphasize teamwork, because this is what will, this teamwork is what will eventually be a differentiating point in the future. How can we be part of a team, a network, as opposed to working single-handedly to solve a problem? So we moved from this traditional, we kept some of the exams, by the way, but at a real minimal level, because at the end of the day, there are some requirements that we should beat. But on top of that, we did add a lot of other layers where we ensure that our students will solve problems, real life problems, through visiting an industry, taking notes, looking at the process, trying to solve a real life problem through their internships, through their senior projects, by the way. So we did integrate too many solutions as part to our industrial partners and the ecosystem that we're part of through the senior projects that we had. And this is what we're trying to do. So a more engaging, as opposed to a passive way to assess our students' performance.
This also, I think, deals with the issue of trust, right?
Yes.
Because one of the problems that we traditionally have is that the student feels that they are guilty without evidence, right? The
Yes.
lecturer then becomes, or the educator becomes, an investigator, who, and some take this to the extreme,
Yeah.
and whose role then becomes finding students um, who may have deviated, um, with or without evidence.
Yeah.
Software is not advanced enough to identify issues, or even to identify AI created work, because some students are amazing at writing, and some of the software is so weak that they can't
Yes.
identify accurately AI. So, how do you deal with the issue of trust in teaching? Because this is something that's, I think, quite a new concept, and I mean, it was there during the time of um, the internet, and we had issues. And it was
Yes.
also there to a certain extent when we had books and students were plagiarizing. But I think it was a lot more difficult to plagiarize
Yes.
with books because the lecturers knew and there were only a finite number of books, right?
Yes.
But when you come to the internet, software was a lot more capable of doing that. But when it comes to AI, software is not capable, and the
Yes.
students are way ahead of lecturers, way, way ahead of lecturers, right? So, how do you deal with the issue of trust?
I'll give you an example from my own experience. One of the most difficult exams that I had in my entire academic life was an open book exam. An open book exam. So, and I still vividly remember the exam, which was in France during my master's degree, 3 hours. And our professor said, you can bring a whole library. I don't care about it. Here's the question. And eventually, it was the toughest, most difficult by all means, because, this is the ingenuity of us humans in terms of assimilating, accepting technologies. I'll give you another example. When the calculator was, you know,
Right.
out there economically available to everyone, math teachers were protesting. Don't bring the calculators in schools because these will eventually corrupt our students and their capacity or capability to compute numbers mentally, right? Can we still say that? Same thing happened when computers were there. Computers are bad, they're gonna, I don't know what, distract us, which is not the case. And now we have another example. So instead of putting this sort of a clock and try to hide um, ourselves from, or to blind ourselves from the reality, what we need to do is to embrace that reality. No, let's have AI. Let's have an AI generated write up, give it to the student, and ask the student what is wrong. Let's fix that mistake instead. What kind of style is that? How can you make this AI generated text more creative? So, building trust should be based on transparency, as opposed to, Dr. Ashraf, you exactly said it, becoming a policeman as opposed to a teacher, as opposed to someone who should share the knowledge. No, let's use this technology, let's use this means, and for our own purpose and the common good.
And that's amazing. I do love that example. And I think we're pretty similar age. And I do remember the example of the calculator. I think as a learner, it was excited to use a calculator, only to find out the questions became more difficult.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely. And you wouldn't be able to rely on.
No, no.
This
And
what
actually, I think
exactly this what exactly happened to me in that course of metallurgy,
Mm.
because I brought 4 books with me, like thick books, and by the probably half of the time had passed when I decided not to rely on books, look at the question, try to solve it, and this is what really happened. Okay. I had a very good mark, by the way, the highest, because I did think this way. So this is something that I keep given as a typical example because eventually, if you if you become transparent, if there are no little hidden secrets between the teacher and the student, and you just embrace the fact that the student will eventually, whether you like it or not, use that technology, well, you have to accept that. You have to admit it. And you have to use this to the advantage of, once again, the common good. What's the ultimate objective? The ultimate objective is to share the knowledge, to elevate our students' knowledge, and to provide them with all the chances to be employed or to become employers, right? So let's embrace this technology and let's use it. But let's use it responsibly and in the right way. And I believe that this will eventually break a lot of doors, and it will open up a lot of opportunities.
I think 100% correct. When you've seen something, you can't unsee it. Once you have
Absolutely.
used Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot, and all the LMMs, you can't unsee it, right?
Yes.
And the fact that you're not using it doesn't mean the world is not using it. And to be competitive, to be ahead of the curve, you have to master these technologies. And I love the fact that how you trust your students and say, use them, right? But as a university leader, you've got this policy, this process. How are you operationalizing it so that it becomes an effective learning tool for educators?
Well, it wouldn't be effective unless we get some training. So this year we had a training, many training sessions to our staff and faculty on AI tools. And we will have some more next year on a more advanced level. And while this year we're focused really on improving our faculty capacity in terms of using technologies and AI, next year will be more into our staff as well, because we must move into a more agile system. And once again, ensuring that every single person knows the basics of AI tools. Otherwise, we'll be really illiterate, will be dysfunctional. This is how important the usage of and the knowledge of technology is. It's not anymore about faculty and students, it's about the whole ecosystem. From the security guard at the gate all the way up to the president office, we should embrace this technology, and we should not be ashamed of saying, you know what, this is something I'm a complete ignorant about. I need to learn about it. I need to cope with it, because this is the real issue nowadays. When you interact with students, with young generations, and I'm not talking only about university students, even K-12 students, you'll be amazed by the amount of knowledge about this technology they have. The apps that we would be really surprised that they exist and they know. So this is the soft spot that we need to work on as educators, right? We must embrace the fact that, you know what, those technologies are out there, they're accessible, they are being used by the students even before they are admitted in our universities. So we should be aware of them. We should be using them, and we should teach those students how to use them responsibly, because, again, what we need to do is to inject some critical thinking, and some curiosity in those minds as well, in order not to take everything for granted and not to hallucinate, as some AI models are hallucinating now. So we'll be able to identify and catch those misinformations.
They're getting much better. But you're certainly correct. I mean, if I need any apps downloaded or sorted or want to find out something about technology, my go-to person is my daughter. My daughter, who is much less than half my age, is far more intelligent, far more able, and far more capable of sorting out my mobile phone, my laptop, and
You're
anything else.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, look at the all those tabs and smartphones and so on. We would struggle in working around a problem, and you will find an 8-year-old seamlessly solving it, right? It's as if they are born with those devices now. So their mind is set to using these technologies better than us. This is something that we have to accept and we have to learn.
I totally agree with you. But as a parent, and I'm sure you're also a parent, and then you hear this media headlines, universities allow students to use AI tools, submit AI generated work. And then the question is, what is the value of this university? If it's allowing AI to be used, it's allowing AI generated work. So how are universities such as the American University of Ras Al Khaimah managing that? I think a perception, and I think it's quite a false perception, but nevertheless, it's still a perception, how they're managing this to ensure that the degree has long-term value.
Absolutely. This is where experiential learning and real-life experiences throughout the 4 or 5 year program that you're learning is about. So what we need to do nowadays is to ensure that the higher education institutions are not only hubs to transmit knowledge and to do impactful research, but a place, an ecosystem of partnerships where students can grow, where students can experience what would their life be once they graduate. And this is where you cannot generate AI models. When you have a real life example, when you have a real life challenge, through, again, an interaction with an adjunct professor, for example, coming from the industry, the AI model will not be able necessarily to detect it and to give you a solution. And this is where you need to use the knowledge that you've acquired, put it in an AI model, and try to generate the best fit, as opposed to searching for an answer. So this is what we are trying to do. What we're trying to do at the American University of Ras Al Khaimah, once again, is this kind of experiential learning through engagement with industries. Our advisory boards, for example, are highly engaged. These are members from the industries, and we do listen to every single piece of critique. And we keep asking them to provide us with the feedback, with the issues, the difficulties that they're facing with the newly employed junior or fresh graduates, and how can we fill that gap throughout our education. The other thing is certification. So make sure that every single course or set of courses will end up with a professional certification.
Right.
Because by embedding certifications, you'll be also providing the students with this other part of experiential learning. So in other words, universities should open up towards more engagement, partnerships with the industry, with the market, with solving real life challenges, but without also by preserving the high standards of academia, without becoming vocational institutes, because I have nothing against vocational institutes, but I don't want to see universities becoming vocational institutes, because universities have a different role. Nevertheless, they have to evolve. They have to acknowledge the fact that we cannot teach in the same way that we've been teaching since the establishment of the first university, by having a row of students being lectured by a professor, whereas in this model, I'm sure that every single student will be on their phone or their tab or their computers looking for something way beyond the lecture purpose.
Well, in reality, we do it in meetings, right? I mean, whenever I attend a meeting,
You're absolutely right.
I immediately go on LinkedIn to see who I'm talking to, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So, the way that we conduct things has changed. And I really have no idea how the world's going to change, because it's changing extremely fast.
Yes, true.
But let's imagine 10, 20 years' time, your students from the American University of Ras Al Khaimah, they look back on their degree. How do you hope they will recall their experience and their days at the university?
10, 20 years is like centuries now. I would say let's look at 3 to 5 years, because what I want to, our graduates to take on from their experience is the fact that that education was customized, that every single student was taken care of as a human being and not as a a student with an ID number only, and only a figure on a student roster. That we were also taking care of their well-beings. We were embracing them with not only the knowledge, but the ethical values, like, once again, humility, curiosity, critical spirit, and that spirit of needing to learn, adaptability, definitely, resilience, with a twist of entrepreneurship. I would love to have every single graduate of the American University of Ras Al Khaimah to become an investor or an entrepreneur, in addition to probably aspiring to be a successful engineer, a successful director or a manager or a leader in a certain company, but also to have this kind of, again, the entrepreneur in them.
That's actually amazing. So instead of just being an employee, to become an employer, adding economic value to the economy.
Yes,
and that's amazing.
And this is what we will be launching next year. So we will start mixing up senior projects from across the different schools, in order for all these teams of engineers, biotechnologists, mass media, in addition to students from business, to interact and to form this kind of dynamism that would end up with beautiful success stories.
I think the beautiful thing about this,
3 years from now, this is what I would love to see our students talking about. AURAK, you know what? AURAK taught us, not only conferred us a degree, but taught us how to be resilient, how to, just come back, how to be creative, how to have a critical spirit, looking at things critically instead of taking an answer from an AI generated model for granted, how to use this in the right way, and once again, how to keep learning and to come back to the university whose doors are always open to its alumni to learn. You know, speaking about that, this year we gave all our alumni access, for example, to our certifications. So, and these certifications are provided by third parties, prestigious providers. And the first decision was, let's open this up to our alumni because they need, among all the others, they need this chance to upskill, right? And to learn, to keep learning. And we should be assisting them in that.
I love this idea. I love this idea about lifelong learning, reopening the doors. But I exceptionally love the idea about the entrepreneurial program, because I think that blends in the theoretical academic learning, the full use of AI,
Yes.
right? In an environment that I think even AI cannot control.
Yes.
So, excuse me, right? And I think that beats the AI challenge. You set up a business, use your knowledge, use AI, and make it a success.
To your own advantage, exactly, and be successful.
And that's amazing. Dr. Bassam, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been amazing. I really love the ideas and the inspirational leadership that you have at the American University of Ras Al Khaimah. I think it's brilliant. I love the ideas that you've come that go beyond the normal in-the-box thinking to things that use and blend knowledge with practical experience and also the full power of AI. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again, Dr. Ashraf, for having me. It's been really a seamless experience. I didn't notice that 1 hour had passed by. So, you're a magician of time in some sort. Thank you so much. And I look forward once again to welcoming you and all the amazing members of Studiosity on our beautiful campus in Ras Al Khaimah.
I look forward to it. I look forward to it, and especially to see it firsthand the amazing work that you're doing. I think we get too bogged down with issues to do with trust and overseeing students and not looking at what is the power of our students if we give them the full reign. And
Yes.
You're talking about entrepreneurship, and we didn't touch on it because of time, but these businesses don't have to make profit. They can be social enterprises, they can be CSRs, they can be helping junior students, and a whole host of opportunities open to you.
Correct. And this is what human development is about, right?
Absolutely.
But you need to make sure that the students have that kind of knowledge about it. Even again, if it's a twist of a knowledge. One typical example about it, before we close this, is our team who won the second place in the ICT Huawei world. Okay, so they were placed first in the region and second worldwide on innovation. Well, it's an interdisciplinary team of 3 people. One is from mass communication. The other one is a computer scientist from AI. They came up with this beautiful application to interpret and translate and learn Chinese from Arabic. And it was really amazing. They surprised every single jury member they spoke to or they pitched the idea to. And we're gonna most likely now, we invited them to incubate this idea at our School of Business because we do have an entrepreneurship center. And this is exactly what I would love to see. Interdisciplinarity, students from across different disciplines, just, coming together with some ideas. And those ideas, as you exactly said, Dr. Ashraf, very well said, they don't have to be profitable. They could be about social responsibility. They could be about sustainability. They could be about helping children. They could be about like somehow a meaningful purpose. Okay, not necessarily driven by profits, but in order to be successful in it, you need to learn the basics, right?
Absolutely. And again, I'm an economist, so if you don't know supply and demand, you're not going to make a successful business.
Sure.
And you know, I love the idea that you can bring theory, you can bring AI, you can bring good to society and the economy in a very innovative way. I thank you so much for your time, Professor Bassam. It's
Thank
been
you, Dr. Ashraf.
extremely interesting. I wish I had more time. I wish I could ask you more questions, but I think we'll need to have a follow-on session.
No problem. Anytime. I really enjoyed every single second of that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
You have been listening to Studiosity's podcast, Reimagining Higher Education, candid conversations within higher education, sharing stories of leadership, change, and best practice in teaching and learning. Visit studiosity.com.